You learn a bit about the basics of sending requests and handling responses with this new HTTP client. And in the last lecture, we had a look at how you can listen to the events instead of just the response, which is the default you were listening to. Now, one other thing we can do, which I already touched on, is you can set headers. Now, in this options object, there is this headers property you can set. And there you actually set new headers you want to send with your request with the new HTTP headers object. So by instantiating this, you'll need to import that from the same path as you import the client. So HTTP headers like that. Now HTTP headers is, as I said, instantiated, so don't forget the parentheses. And this gives you a HTTP headers object, which behind the scenes just is a JavaScript object holding some extra in configuration so that the HTTP client can use it. Now this alone doesn't set any special headers besides the default headers it will send anyways. If you want to set headers, you can simply chain a method call to this newly instantiated object. So you can simply call a new method, and there are various methods available for getting the headers, but also for appending a new headers or setting headers. And just as a side note, there are some default headers which are sent with every request, sometimes even enforced by your browser, which you won't override with this. I'm talking about your own headers, which you either set and override with set, or which you append with, well, append. Since we don't have any custom headers yet, let's set some. And here, this is super simple. Set simply takes two arguments, the name of the header or the key, and then the value. So for example, if you were to set an authorization header, here we could simply pass the authorization, maybe bearer and some token. Now this won't work with this Firebase setup because we don't authorize ourselves through an authorization header there, but it is a common use case that you're talking to some API where you do need to set an authorization header with some token. This would be an example, and this is how you set headers in general. Now if you want to add more, simply append them. This is how you can add more headers to that. Of course, you don't have to do all of that inline in the options object. You could prepare an object in advance, a headers object, where you simply use the headers or set them up, as we did inline, and then pass this headers object here. This is the alternative. Now, as I mentioned, this won't work here because Firebase doesn't expect this header, but in general, this is absolutely how it works. I'll comment it out for now though.